Welcome to the Idaho Business Podcast, the only Idaho podcast focused on providing profits for Idaho people. If you love our state and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Idaho Business Podcast with your friend, host, and all-around great guy and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Idaho Business Podcast. Like always, we are sponsored by Dell's Outdoor Advertising. These guys are great at digital and traditional billboards. And if you give them a call at 232-6886 and tell them that you want to sign up for at least a 3-month deal, you heard about them on the podcast, they will give you your installation for free or your first month for free. These guys are fantastic, and it's a great way for you to stay ahead of the game and get your name out and your message out to those that really matter, that are going to help grow your company. So there you go. Dell's Outdoor Advertising are the people to get a hold of. Today we are. It's a pleasure to be joined by once again Mark Peterson, attorney at law over here at Snake River Law in Pocatello, Idaho. Fantastic guy. He's my attorney when it comes with all the business stuff, and he's great at just helping you out and helping you understand a bigger picture. So, Mark, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for letting me be here.
Yeah. Mark, I know many, if not most, of business owners and entrepreneurs. We have this sense of immortality. We think we're invincible, and we're going to wake up every day. We're going to continue to grow our businesses, and obviously, we don't want any kind of negative vibes intruding on us as we do that. But it is good to have a few things prepared for when things don't go our way, and especially those that are supporting families and other things. What are some big ways that we could business owners could really benefit as they strive to have all their ducks in a line?
Yeah, so you're talking, businesses, you have kind of an interplay between the business and then your personal estate planning. It's kind of what you're talking about there, like connecting those together so that they function together, they work together. If something does happen, a trusted person can step in and make sure to take care of things. And so that's a big key, is just connecting those things together so your business can still, be successful. So for example, if you have a husband and wife scenario, setting up a plan in business that makes it so that one or the other can step in, if they need to, and not just be left out in the dark, not being able to, fill that role if they had to. It can be, we've all gone through disruptions in our lives, hopefully nothing too severe or significant, but even small disruptions, you can feel how that, kind of messes with your mindset and kind of gets you out of sort a little bit. And it takes a while to get back up in line sometimes. Big things like the death of a loved one can really, really disrupt stuff. And if there's not a plan in place, it can just turn to chaos. So what we kind of do, what we like to do with business owners in particular, is work on those things together. So a business and an estate plan that work together and that function together. And typically you're talking about trust planning for a family and a business owner in that scenario. So usually you hear a lot about wills and that kind of stuff. Those are usually not sufficient to deal with, a business owner and their family and all those interplays between the two. And a lot of times they cause problems because they're not, they don't consider that kind of stuff. So that's trust planning becomes pretty critical for a business owner.
I like that. And especially since we talk a lot about on this podcast of having systems in place, processes in place, so things run themselves without you having to micromanage every aspect of your business. Same thing goes with this trust. This is just another process that you put into place, another system that you have in place, ready to turn on as soon as something, adverse happens. Heaven forbid it happens. But in business, if we're truly preparing ourselves to handle everything that comes up, this is a reality at times. So I would, this is a big one. It hit me between the eyes. I'll say that when Mark started talking about that, we had a presentation one time in one of our marketing meetings that we were part of, a marketing group, and it hit me between the eyes, thinking, "Holy cow! If something happens to me, number one, my wife doesn't work in the business with me. She is owner of the business with me, but she's more of a board member. She kind of sits and helps me approve certain things. But if I was to go, like, I know I have systems in place that can continue to run the business, but there's nothing in line for, like, if I was to go, like, what if I met my demise and met my creator, hopefully my creator the next day. There's got to be that something that takes place, and just like Mark said, wills are great, but heaven forbid you have both people you pass on. I'll let Mark talk about that. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's hit these business owners between the eyes. Let's make them feel you got to make them feel a little bit of pain to help them understand this, and it's pain in a good way, because these people really need to understand this, because especially with people with kids at home. And you and your spouse are owners of the business, or you have another partner, and someone dies, what really happens, with wills and everything else. So
yeah, so with kids, there's a variety of issues, right? So first off, I mean, let's just talk about the kids themselves. What's going to happen to them? Who's going to take care of them? Where are they going to go? And the last thing you want is a court making that decision for you. You want to have already made that decision so that they can be with the trusted people that will be good for them. On paper, anybody can look good for 30 minutes in front of a judge, on paper, and then when they step in front of a judge for 30 minutes, they can put on a great face, right? But you may know the background about that person that you would not ever want them taking care of your children. And so if you don't plan for that, if you don't put it out in writing, if you don't clarify that for the court systems, you're just leaving it to chance, right? And potentially putting a burden on somebody that doesn't really want that, which means they don't necessarily want your kids, which means the kids are aren't going to be in the best position. So that's part of the estate planning, is making sure they're taken care of. Wills, like a last will and testament, is the most common estate planning thing. Well, the most common is nothing, right? People just don't do anything. But wills come in probably second after that. But wills require probate, so there is a court process that has to be required. And as far as distribution, guess where the kids where they sit? They sit last. They're not first. They don't get helped out first. They're last when you're dealing with probate. And so,
and for people that aren't educated in the legal terms like I was, can you explain probate real quick to them?
Yeah, so it's the court process to deal with a deceased person's assets and liabilities, and there's specific. Yeah, there's specific procedure that has to be followed, and dealing with creditors and all this other kind of stuff, and the heirs, or the kids in this case, right? They're on the bottom of the thing there. So whereas in a trust, the trustees can take care of those kids immediately, and they're not obligated to go through a court process in order to deal with that. So it makes it a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
So instead of a judge deciding, who the kids go to or what the will reads, instead of them interpreting your will, you have a trust that's already set up saying, okay, as soon as this happens, boom, 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 this is what happens, instead of going into probate for months.
Yeah, and you also have a trusted person there.
Yep.
That you already approved to be in charge of that. You're doing your best belief that they'll do the best for the kids, and you're taking that out of the hands of somebody else and keeping control of that yourself, and having the people will be best for those kids in place. And that just ensures that they have not only the emotional support, which is pretty critical in that timeline, but just the financial support. One thing I know we've talked with you about this is like how would you want kids to receive money, right?
Yeah.
Do you want a 12-year-old to get a huge chunk of money, that somebody else is supervising until they turn 18 and then they get it all and can just spend it? Or do you want it to be transferred to them in a more responsible way and bracketed out over time for their education, for some legitimate things, and not just wasted? And I don't know about you, but as an 18-year-old, I mean, I wasn't super irresponsible or anything, but still, if I had a huge chunk of money just sitting there that was totally uncontrolled that I could spend, I probably wouldn't have spent it the most wisely. I probably wouldn't do anything bad with it, but I probably would have, wasted some of it, if not
for sure,
a large percentage of it.
So you're saying, oh, go ahead.
But yeah, and trust planning can connect that all together so that you can kind of control the best way for those kids to have access to those funds.
I like that. And when I was setting up with you, I really liked even you spell out like how you want your kids to be disciplined and how that looks like, what kind of activities do you want your money spent on with these kids? Like you can really dive into that kind of stuff. So the trustee of the trust has a good view of what you want their lives to be like. Obviously you can't really control your kids to the T, and you don't want to, but you want them to have those opportunities with that money involved. And without a trust, I would say, I think sometimes people sit on their laurels thinking, oh, I've got life insurance and I've got a will, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, but like Mark was saying, you die and you say you're the sole owner of the business. Okay, now you have, or heaven forbid, both you and your spouse die, and now you have a judge interpreting your will, and then probably some family members fighting for the children because they know there's going to be money, a lot of money involved. And we love our family, but having that trust in place, just like Mark was saying, you really get to distinguish who you think is going to be best for those kids to be raised by. The Idaho Business Podcast is sponsored by New Clean Commercial Cleaning. This is my company, guys. I'm telling you, I'm not just because I'm the owner, the creator of it, but we are a great company for servicing your janitorial needs, your carpet cleaning needs, your stripping wax needs, all your floor maintenance needs. We are there for you. Everything is backed up by the "we're not perfect" guarantee. And if it's pretty much if you call and we don't get a hold of you, you don't get a hold of us, we will call you back within an hour and fix the problem within 24 hours, or the cleaning's on us. So that is our promise to you. And if you call or go into the Idaho Business Podcast website, click on the New Clean logo and book a janitorial solution huddle with us, and mention that you heard about us on the podcast, you'll get 2 free restroom floor cleanings for your office for free. Tile and grout in your restrooms will be sparkling clean. And that's the offer. Tell you, take us up on it. You won't regret it. There's no strings attached. So go see them today.
This is the end of part 1 of a 2-part episode. Tune in next time to hear part 2.
Congratulations on spending a couple of minutes getting a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Idaho business community. If you're feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.